to Minds in Motion with Dr. K, where we delve into the lives and the stories of leaders, high-performing leaders, and we explore their journey, where we share the wisdom they've gained along the way, the successes and the missteps. So today I have a special guest with me, none other than Attorney Moore. Katrina Moore is an entrepreneur, public speaker, attorney, a life and business coach, health and wellness advocate, and most importantly, a wife of 25 years and mother of 3 amazing young adult men. Attorney Moore has a passion to help support business owners and individuals reach their full potential by helping their vision of ownership become a reality. She has a special place in her heart for serving young adults as they navigate adulthood. She holds a BA, a master's, and a Juris Doctor degree. When I tell you, credentials, brilliant woman. She's also the founder of Star Prep LLC, with a mission to help young adults into independent, globally minded, and career-ready individuals. Help me welcome Attorney Moore, aka the Navigator. Now this is, oh my goodness, this is such an, I'm excited. I'm excited about this podcast for many reasons. Attorney Moore and I have gone a long way. That's a whole nother podcast all by itself. But I'm just excited today to have her on the set. And, happy Women's Month to all the women out there. As you know, this month I'm doing a special episode on leaders, female leaders that are leading, resilient leaders. We did resilient leader. We did the relentless leader. And today we're going to look at the servant leader who leads with fierce determination. We're also going to be having the agile leader and the emotionally intelligent leader. So stay connected to Minds in Motion with Dr. K. So welcome again, Attorney Moore.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here. You are doing such amazing work and you're so needed. And I love the fact that you just continue to expand the territory, and you're such a globally minded, relevant person for our time. So thank you for doing this for us.
Thank you so much for those kind words. So tell me, Attorney Moore, can you share a pivotal moment or experience that shaped the journey into becoming a servant leader? And how do you, as an attorney, I know you're a fierce attorney, how do you balance this approach to achieve your goals in leadership?
Well, yes, actually, it's always going to go back to what the person in my life that many of us have, my grandmother and my Nana. I come from a long line of very strong, leader-oriented women, and she in particular, along with my mother, of course, she was a single mom, but she was the one who I used to tote behind her skirt tail all the time as a little girl. I lived with her on and off throughout my life, and I always saw her serving. It wasn't something that was, oh, what are you doing? It was something that you just did. And so whether she was serving in the Southwest House as a director in an area that was low income, where she was making sure that people had the resources they need, or she had me toting behind her at her Delta Sigma Theta conferences, serving and volunteering with the women, empowering the women in their organization, or even being in D.C. and growing up right up the street pretty much from the Capitol, and just being politically aware. We had to watch the news every day. We knew what was going on. And even at 12 and 14, I was serving on campaigns. And so it wasn't even about what it was. It was natural. It was something that if you were a part of a community, the expectation is that you're going to serve. And so I think that's the foundation of the leaders, is watching that and being a part of it, even from a very young age.
Wow. And I know you have continued to, expand that into not only your boys, but the people that come in contact with you, the other young men that you are also serving in your organization as well.
Yes.
Wow, that is so interesting. And I mean, you just kept that servant leader, because I know you. So I know your heart is so huge. It's like a pot of gold. And but again, when you make that flip, that switch in that attorney role,
yes,
she's a bad attorney. Let me tell you.
Yeah, when I'm on your side, you want me on my side, and when I'm not on your side, you don't want me not on your side. Because I serve fiercely and ferociously on that side as well. So you're absolutely right, and I think the part that does make it when you're a servant leader is being aware that you have to make sure you're in that giving, that you also are taking care of yourself. And that's something I've grown into because there has been times, you talk about pivotal moment. Sometimes it's not like a one-time moment, right? Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's because over time, as it's seeping out, you finally realize that you have to make a switch to continue to do what you want to do. If I'm not okay, I can't serve.
I mean,
So
listen,
that's so important.
That's extremely important, because too many women, run around like superwoman, and especially with the ones that are servant leader with that giving heart, and they pretty much forget themselves. They put themselves on the back burner. So we have to make sure that even in that space of leading so strongly as a servant leader, that you are also doing self-care. That's like extremely important. So what are some unique challenges that you faced as a female servant leader? And can you describe a particular, instance where your fierceness helped you overcome an obstacle?
Yes, I'm going to say that when we talk about leadership, we talk a lot of times about a role. You'll think about, like, for instance, I'm an operations administrator for my firm, where I'm the founder and, of my company. You think about leadership that way. But I think of leadership individually as leading by example. To me, that's so important too. Especially for women, especially in a male-dominated industry like I'm in, sometimes I am the only woman. Sometimes I am the only person of color. And depends on what it is, the different areas. And so I have to show up. And so I have to speak up. I have to show up. And I have to make sure I'm excellent at what I do, because there are others watching me. There's young ladies who are thinking about being attorneys. They're thinking about going into the industry. They're thinking about being moms, and they're thinking about how they can serve. And so I'm always very much self-aware that my leadership is really by my example, how I live my life. I think the best way to give an example of that in terms of give an example is, I think that we also, as caretakers, it can be challenging. So women, and I hope people understand this my point of view on this. We talk about the feminist movement and how it's wonderful that we started to get, pay, finally get, we don't have equal pay, but at least we're in the game, right?
Right.
We have the right to vote. We have all these rights we fought for to be equal to men. And what I believe, though, that happened is that we got those things and we still were responsible for still all the other things that we had. Everything else. And so we ended up having to take on everything. And that hasn't really, I think, hasn't really stopped. And so one of the ways as a caretaker, I know you know this, but taking care of, for instance, being an attorney, having my career, but I also took care of two parents.
And so being a part of that whole sandwich generation.
And so I took care of her parents since, 25 years married, 3-4 years in my marriage. I knew my husband and I would have to take care of my mother-in-law because she had a degenerative disease. And I knew that would be something that would just be, again, servant. But at the same time, that was to me a moment where I'd have to also, even with what I have left, I'm going to have to fight. My dad, same thing. My mother-in-law, the same day of her funeral, my dad had a stroke. Wow. I turned around and had another parent that I took care of. And so one of the things that I had to do was, even with everything that was going on, I honestly believe, and you heard about health and wellness, I had to fight. Like, making sure that they had what they needed, making sure we all are understanding the caretaker, the hospital system, the medical system, having to fight through that while you're trying to serve and still be a mom and do all these things. I think that is where I've been able to, again, lead by an example of what a servant leader is. Mm-hmm. It's not just, like I said, by example, but it's also, we take on these other roles, and we have to realize that sometimes it's just us. There's no other way around it. We're going to be the ones that have to do it. And it was a blessing. So now I know there's a season that comes, and we have to realize that there's sometimes that we're just going to have seasons we go through. I just don't think it's easy. Some people want to hear us say, oh, it'll be, you're going to make it through. You will make it through. But guess what?
You're strong. You're strong. That's what
It's hard, but guess what? We wouldn't be the women we are today had we not had the adversities that we had we not had the responsibilities that we were given. And guess what? We're made and built for it. I'm not going to give any particular car company use their slogan, but you know what I'm saying. We're built for it.
We're built for it. But the thing is, the common thread that I'm hearing is resilience.
Yes.
Having to bounce back, even through that servant leadership, is still being able to bounce back from those adversity and just keep it going.
Yes. And professionally, so that was personally, but I wanted to mention something we're talking about in the organization. My firm that I work for it's all women, and there's 23 of us. Okay, all women attorneys, all women staff, not on purpose, it's just how it is. Mm-hmm. And you talked about leading by example and how we take care of people. So one pivotal moment, there's something that happened was, I'll give you an example of that type of leadership. I believe that we take care of the whole person. So just because people come to work, it shouldn't stop there. You should care about their well-being. You should care about if they have everything that they need. You can't do everything, but we should be aware of it. And so I had a particular staff member who doesn't have anybody that's here in the country, and she had to go to the hospital. And they had her in the waiting room from 9 o'clock in the morning until about 12 o'clock the next day in an emergency room. And doesn't know the system, doesn't know anything. And I dropped everything. It doesn't matter. That doesn't matter if it's not my blood. If we have the position to advocate and make sure people are okay, I feel like we step in. And so I had to go in and literally, what did I do? In the middle of the emergency room, because they wouldn't let me speak, right? I had to get a power of attorney piece of paper, had to fight to get that. I went in, raised my hand in the emergency room and said, I need 2 witnesses to sign this paper so that I can take care of my colleague. Is there anybody here? I know you don't know me, but this is what I need. And I had 2 people step up.
Wow.
And sign the paper so that I can make sure that she was taken care of. And if I had not been there, she just told me yesterday, actually, and I forgot, it was like last fall, she came and said that if you hadn't been there to advocate for me and take the time out to care, when they were going to discharge me when I wasn't ready, I don't know what would have happened to me when I went home.
Wow. That is an amazing story. But that's you through and through. That's what I know you would do over and over again. And you said something very important there. And I say that to my clients, as I coach on a daily basis, especially when I have a new client. I said a whole person comes to work every day.
That's it.
Right? It's a holistic thing. It's not this person who just comes and it's a robot who come here to work. They have issues. They have things going on in their lives. And that's where that emotional intelligent leader comes in. So that is a nice segue into, servant leadership being deeply rooted in empathy. So can you provide an example of how your empathy has not only guided your leadership, but also drive tangible results for your team and organization? You pretty much just explained what that looked like, right? But for the organization itself, can you share?
Well, see, that's the thing. Again, like you said, it's not separate. So empathy by clients, that's another thing. So I can talk about the staff side, but I also can talk about the client side. I've had people that have called and they're so concerned about whether their loved one's going to be deported, or I'm an immigration attorney. So they're worried if they're going to be deported. They're not understanding the process. They don't know why the service did something they weren't supposed to do. And I had one incident where I was helping somebody who had tried 3 times to get their legal permanent residency. And it was not right the way things happened. And I was the 3rd one to try. And I was working to make sure that this person got what they needed. Well, the husband was told something by an officer that he thought was true. So he decided he was going to call me up and try to talk to me a certain kind of way. And he's, literally yelling. A lot of people would have just hung up, right? Like, oh, you don't talk to me like that. Bye. I let him talk for a minute. I let him talk. And this is how I responded. And this is how we have to do it. Sir, I know that the reason why you're talking to me this way is because you care so deeply about your wife. I understand that you're scared, and so that's what is emitting from you right now. But in order for us to be able to work together, there's going to be a respectful tone that you're going to have to take to me. Know that I'm on your side. We're on the same team. I am here to help you. So the only way we're going to get through this is that we are respectful to one another and how we speak to each other. Wow. If we can't do that, then what I'll have to do is not speak with you and only communicate with your wife. How do you feel about that? And so I'm giving you an example of the man. He just called immediately. It was like, I'm sorry.
Because you put him at ease, right? That was his defense mechanism. But that's seriously empathy in action. Serious empathy in action.
Mm-hmm. And then that's on the, that happens all the time with clients. And so I tell this staff as well, it's like we're in a customer service business. Although that's all we do as attorneys. It's customer service. We're counselors of law. Think about that. And so now when it comes to the staff, I've even had people when they come, I keep my door open. So I believe as a leader, yes, we have things to do and we have things to get done and we have to get boundaries, but you have to have an open door in terms of being able to have people talk, like you said, because when they show up with their stuff, if that stuff's not kind of dealt with sometimes, it affects the work too, right?
Well, that's right there is creating that psychological safety. And that's what this new generation especially is looking for, that psychological safety. Because you know what? I remember when I was in corporate and there were leaders who said, I have an open door policy that nobody went to that door.
Right.
Because of that whole command and control way that they led. But you being that empathetic leader, align also with the servant leadership. When you say you have an open door, I know your door is truly an open door where people can feel comfortable and create that safe space.
It could be a dog. It could be your dog. It doesn't matter what it is. My thing is that what's important to them should be important to us. And to me, that also is how you keep people. People don't care how much you know. They want to know how much you care, right?
Yeah. Right? Maya Angelou always said she has a favorite quote. People, they may not remember what you said and what you did, but they always will remember how you made them feel. And so that's that whole empathy. How do you make people feel, right?
As a leader.
As a leader. As a human being, period.
That's it.
But more so because we are on the leadership piece,
Yes.
So who are the women leaders, past or present, who have inspired your leadership style? And how have their stories or actions influenced your approach to being both a servant leader, but also a fierce leader?
Again, I'm going to go back to, it is the women. Generally, I have some people that people know, but my grandmother and my mother, those were my examples of the style of leadership. To be poised and be graceful, even when you have to speak your mind. They taught me, you can how to resolve conflict, how to be able to communicate in a way that you can be heard, and then how to listen so that people can be heard. I think those are the things from them that I learned a lot. And then, like you said, perseverance, having a single mom, taking care of 3 kids on her own and moving and doing whatever she had to do. She just got it, she made it, she did it. She did whatever she had to do. And so I really watched that. And so sometimes I'm always looking for the solution. Some people are like, well, what about this? And what about this? Yes, they're looking at the obstacle. I'm thinking about, what about this? And what about this? What is the solution? It's really the perspective that I think I got from them. Also, just, I always, politically wise, I would say Shirley Chisholm, being the first Democratic National Party representative for the candidate.
All right.
That was huge. And she used to actually be in my, live in the building away from home when I lived in D.C. So I actually saw her and met her in the elevator when I was a little girl. And my grandmother would be like, Katrina, you be hello to Miss Chisholm. And I just remember thinking you're a trailblazer.
Yeah.
So that's the thing for me. I'm not afraid to be the first. Mm-hmm. And I think I saw that. Maxine Waters, I'm not afraid to be the first. Our First Lady Obama, Condoleezza Rice. I watched those women and I'm like, wow, my question is, ooh, you beat me to it. So I would say those are some leaders that really stick out to me, that that really influenced me at a young age. And I've carried those things with me ever since.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely had some really powerful women, who mentored you and who you modeled after. So it is no surprise to see, how you show up. It was so funny when you were sharing just now, how your grandmother taught you, to be poised. And I was like, she did not know then, but right now, that's executive presence is what she was teaching you to have. Be poised, have that gravitas, listen well, the way you show up and how do you read a room and all those things she was teaching you, which is now coined executive presence, but she had it way back many, many years ago, right? So it's really nothing new under the sun.
Like that.
Right?
That's true.
Nothing new under the sun. So what strategies do you employ to empower others in your team or in your community? And how do you ensure that these strategies foster both personal and professional growth?
Ooh, I really like this question. In general, as a parent, as a wife, as a supervisor of an organization, I make sure that I give people permission to make mistakes.
Love that.
At the end of the day, a mistake, if you know you can make a mistake and it's not going to cost you your job, or it's not going to cost our relationship, or it's not going to be the end of the world, you're more likely to take more chances and risks at new things. And that in and of itself will help your own development, right? And so that's one of the things I love about the culture at my firm is that we always say, we tell them up front, expectation is when you come in and I'm hiring people, I just want you to know you will make mistakes. Let's just go ahead and say that up front.
You
fail. When you make a mistake,
fail and fail fast.
Yeah,
and fail forward.
As long as we learn. Yes, as long as we learn from
What's
it.
the lesson learned?
That's the expectation we have. But know that we all make the mistakes. And I'm telling you, having a freedom to know you don't have to be perfect in an environment, in a society where it looks like perfection is supposed to be everywhere. That freedom is what allows people to show up and really be and grow into their authentic self, particularly young people. And so that's actually what I like to do. One, give people permission to, like you said, fail forward, right? And then number two, I love this one. Helping people realize the greatness that's inside of them. Oh, that's just wonderful. Like, how can I make you see yourself the way the rest of the world sees you, or how you haven't even shown up yet? That is the butterfly that I'm always looking for.
Yeah, because some people don't even know what's on the inside. They don't even know what's locked up on the inside. So when you can help to pull that out and empower them to become the best version of themselves. Because, you often hear, you have so much potential. You have so much potential. And we got to move from the potential to the performance. We want to see the performance now. You can't have all this potential and it's not showing, let's see the performperformance to it. And that's exactly what you do when you empower these.
And you've heard this before. They say for every negative comment, right, you have to have 10 positive comments. And when they're talking about kids, but that's not just kids. That's anybody. That's all of us, right? And so I think that affirmation, even with constructive criticism, is absolutely important. So I have people that still maybe not be able to handle sometimes when they get corrected. I understand that, but guess what I do? I make sure I put up a board in the office now where you go get a piece of paper, and if somebody did something, it doesn't matter what it was that you thought was helpful or should stand out. Anybody can write it and you post it up there, because everybody wants to complain. But there's a way for a leader to make room for people to give positive feedback on a regular basis, no matter what organization you're in. I think that is also something that's key for leadership and for leaders.
Yeah, because now that command and control leadership is going through the window. Organizations are looking for more of an agile type of mindset and culture, where you can pivot easily, where failure is not punished, right? But what is the lesson learned from it? And, fail fast, but fail forward. Right?
That's it.
Because that in that way people become more creative, more innovative, and you have a richer culture, a richer team. And the other thing is that they're looking now, the superhero leader is dying. They want super teams. So it's about the team. It's about the people, right? So I think, those strategies that you have been fostering both personally and professionally to encourage growth, I think they just totally awesome. So how do you maintain the balance between serving the needs of your team, pushing them out of their comfort zone to achieve excellence, especially in high pressured situation?
Oh, see, that answer actually, I'm going to tell you, and I know that might be cheating my way out of it, but what I just said before is exactly the same answer I'm going to give you, is allowing people to make mistakes and know that as long as they learn from it, the mistake itself isn't the issue. Not learning from it is the issue. I really think that stress, when you take that, you give that environment, you automatically take off of pressure. And particularly in our firm, we have deadlines all the time. There's something, you're going to miss something, because guess what? We're human.
Exactly.
So the thing is that when people get so concerned about making mistakes, what do? They make more mistakes. Because they're so hyper focused on what? Oh, sorry. Thinking about making a mistake.
Yeah.
And so I think that's another thing that for me in the environments for a team is that reminder about that, or people are when they're not sure. And I think, like you said, balancing so making sure that knowing who they are too. So you have to recognize each person's different. You have to recognize some people are, they need a little bit gentler push. They need a little bit more time, and you can't treat everybody the same. Just like all kids are different, everybody when you're in a leadership position, you have to figure out who people are at their core, and then you have to navigate and utilize them in the positions and the situations that best fit who they are. I think that's another thing that's really important, and that's how you balance them feeling comfortable to come out from that tortoise shell and actually, step out into something new. So that's been, for me, that's been working. I have several people that, and nobody even knows. It's something quiet. I think leadership can be a quiet leadership too. There's things that people don't know I do behind the scenes with people. I don't need to tell anybody that. And they'll say, oh my gosh, look at the growth in so-and-so. And I'm like, it's wonderful.
It is.
I love it. So that's another thing as a leader. You don't always have to take credit for everything that's happening. Just sometimes be thankful to see the progress in other people. And that is your reward.
Wow. I love that. Because some leaders, it's all about me, myself, and I, right? But when let the team get the glory, even though you just pushing them forward, because together, team, together, each one achieve more.
That's it.
Right? It's no longer working in that siloed space as a lot of happened, back in the day. That's pretty much going out the window. Wow, I'm loving this. So, Attorney Moore, looking towards the future, what legacy do you hope to leave as a servant leader? And what advice would you give to another young woman who is aspiring to lead with both grace and strength and fiercely as you are leading?
I think the legacy I would like to leave is that if I've come into your life, you know that you were significant and that somebody cared and that you were somebody. Like that to me is what's missing so much. We're just so fast. We're going through so many emotions. We're going through so many emotions, just moving. And so many people right now, and more than ever before COVID did it, people feel invisible. And we're not paying attention. People are screaming silently.
Wow.
And so making sure that if I have a moment in your life that day I gave you the strength that you needed to go home and take care of whatever you had to take care of after you came to work and gave your all, or if I'm in an organization and I'm trying to give you the courage and what you need to move into the next season of your life if you've gone through something difficult, because I love human trafficking is something that's very passionate to me as well. Just that idea of moving through some very horrendous things and developing from it. I just want to be impactful. So I already have my tombstone. My tombstone should say, "Here lies somebody that loved and was loved." If I can get that, I will have arrived. And for young women, which I talk to all the time, This is the thing I tell them. Be who you are. We have coming in from a background where my family comes from a lot of different places. I'm married, from, first generation immigrants. Culturally, there's a difference in terms of how we show up as women, how people see us. I'm in immigration, so I deal with a lot of different cultures in general with women. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of stuff. And so I don't want you to lose what you have in your culture, because that's very, very important. At the same time, as we're moving and developing, particularly young people and young women coming behind us, find your space. Make sure you find somebody and find what you want to do. Find out who you are, what you love, and how you can turn around and reciprocate what somebody else has done for you. So if you want to be a leader, the first thing you have to do, to me, is you have to serve. I don't think that you can be a leader if you're not a person who serves, because as a leader, that's what we do. People don't serve us, we serve them. So I would say get into the business of serving. And if you do that, you will become a great leader. One doesn't go without the other. And then for the grace, oh my goodness, I'm going to say this too. We're going to depending on the environments we're in, we may be the only one, ladies. Or we may be one of the very few. And so even when we come up with those situations where we want to take certain things personal, I'm going to say, you wait, you get yourself together, you come up, you show up, you boss up how you need to. And then you come back and you get on, you find that girlfriend, you find that group, and you go off for whatever happened that day, what you need to do. But because, remember, we talked about example. Mm-hmm. No matter what, even if it was a moment, the person's wrong. That person could be wrong as they want to be. But how we respond is our responsibility. And so to me, the grace is in our response to certain situations in our profession and in our life. That's where grace shows up.
Wow. I love that. The grace is in the response. Mm-hmm. And it's time to boss up.
And it's
we gotta show up as our authentic self. Learn to speak our truth, amplify our voices as women, and boss up, showing up as your authentic self, unapologetically.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh wow! Thank you so much, Attorney Moore, for this wonderful, and it was just so exhilarating, so much passion and poise and everything that you just poured out. I hope a lot of leaders are going to be listening to this. There's so many nuggets dropped today, and I so appreciate you taking the time to come on to Minds in Motion with Dr. K. So, I can't wait to I can't wait for us to just catch up again, because I know there's so much we need to talk about. But I really enjoyed you being on the set today and just having fun with it.
Yes.
So,
thank you.
Thank you so much. So thank you, for viewing today, Minds in Motion with Dr. K, where we delve into the lives and the journeys and the stories and explore leaders, women especially, leading in this disruptive era. And even as we bring the show to an end today, I want to remind you to listen to us on Spotify, on iTunes, Apple, and on YouTube as well. Remember to like, subscribe, and follow us, and share. And remember to empower you and be stronger than your excuses. This is Dr. K with Minds in Motion, and we will be back next week. Until then, see you on the other side. Bye for now.
Recording stopped.